Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's our fourth Lift Up live broadcast of 2023. So we're kickstarting the new year, and my co-host Rosie and I are super excited about sharing two great key speakers, inspiring leaders in the life sciences space today. So before we go into doing their introductions, I'll do a brief introduction into myself for those of you that are perhaps new to joining this Lift Up community and the live broadcasts. So I am Louise Williams. I'm the operations director here at Fraser Dove International. I've been in the business for about 18 months. I've been in staffing for 17 years and life sciences for about 8 years. I'm also one of the ambassadors of the Lift Up community group that was built in the middle of last year. And Lift Up, wow, what can I say about it? It is literally snowballing month on month. So this is our fourth live event, and Lift Up is all about driving this mission to connect, champion and inspire women across the life sciences industry space, right from academia all the way through to C-suite. So before I get in the key speakers involved, which I know they're super eager to joining this live broadcast, I'm going to pass over to Rosie, my colleague, to do a brief introduction into herself. So Rosie, over to you.
Hi, thank you. And thank you everyone for joining again. This monthly occurrence is building not only some really key topics and covering some great conversations with amazing individuals, but also building a great network. So I encourage you, please introduce yourself on the comment feed. Let us know who you are, where you're coming from, and what it is you specialize in, whether it be quality, engineering, or manufacturing, anything on the value chain. We want to know. In terms of an introduction from my side, my name is Rosie, of course. I've been with Fraser Dove for just over 2 years and was previously with Boston Scientific, where I had the pleasure of having amazing leaders and real female role models who basically gave me such a drive to be a part and an ambassador for this community. It's going to be a really nice forum today, a live Q&A that allows you to really ask these experts and these knowledgeable leaders in their journey to do with high performance, culture, and parenthood, and any topic that you wanted to discuss. If you are asking a question, we do push you to please put a Q at the beginning of your question so that we know and can help navigate the comments coming in. It's obviously going to be important for you guys to get involved, and we're looking forward to a great discussion. I'll hand over to Louise so we can start to hopefully get some speakers introduced.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Rosie. You know, we've had such an experience with these live broadcasts where we have had people dialing in from Canada, South America, Europe. It's been really global, and I think that's another reason why we try to make it 4:15 UK time. So we're really kind of getting everybody across the globe to dial in, and this is your great opportunity to, in the comments feed, put it is where you're coming from. Please say hello, do an introduction into what it is that you do, like Rosie said. So keep those comments and feeds coming through. It's
We've
absolutely brilliant to see.
Yeah, we've got a few coming in now. Hi, Regina. She's in quality, reg, and CMC. Thank you for joining us. It'd be great to know where you're from. We've got Maureen joining us, who's in drug development program leadership and project management. Hi, Maureen. Thank you for being here. We've got a couple here from the UK. Hi, Sophie. Happy to connect. Be sure to be building and utilizing the comments feed to build your network. You could be connecting with someone in Boston who's also on the feed. So be sure to comment.
100%. Thank you, Rosie. So without further ado, we're going to bring in our key speakers that are going to give great introductions into themselves. So joining us first is Claire Thompson. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Louise. Hi, Rosie. Happy New Year. Wonderful to be here.
Yeah, and you're in the UK, so you're with us.
I am. Yeah, it's getting dark out there, which means it's
I
wonderful,
know.
soft lighting for me, and it takes about 10 years off me. I'm very appreciative.
It's all about the lighting. No, thank you so much, Claire, for joining us. Absolute privilege to have you in the live broadcast today. So if you could be so kind, give us a bit of an introduction and to the audience around your kind of career journey to date, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a biochemist by training, originally from Northern Ireland. Went to Scotland to do my undergraduate degree, then went to Nottingham to do my PhD in pharmacy. And I've been in England and in the pharmaceutical industry ever since. So I've worked in Pfizer, GSK, virtual biotech, small CDMOs for about 20 years. And just over 10 years ago, I set up my own company, Agility Life Sciences. We originally were a consulting firm, and then in the pandemic, thought, okay, there's an opportunity to set up a formulation development CDMO. I saw a gap in the market, and I was struggling to find organizations to outsource work to who had the capability, so the expertise to really help solve problems for my clients, the capacity so could do things quickly and at the right cost. So those 3 C's. So I thought, okay, well, why don't we just do this? My development director, I thought, was going to kill me at the time, but managed to convince her that it was a good idea. So we opened our first lab and office in Nottingham in the UK in September 2020, and have just grown exponentially ever since. And I've loved it. But if it wasn't for the pandemic, I think I would never have done it. It's one of those things that
so yeah, it's kind of
got you a real catalysis point for me.
Yeah.
A big proponent of people and purpose over products and profits, and I know that we're going to talk about culture in a bit. We are people with purpose. Firmly believe that my people, my tribe, are the most important thing that I have around me. I can deliver nothing without them. I'm certainly not the smartest person in the room at any point, but also, you know, we aren't put on this earth to just take and take and take. So as part of our purposeful piece, we donate 2% of our revenues, not our profits, our revenues every year to causes that we're passionate about. And one of those is setting up a girls and football teams, or gift grants. So I'm a former footballer. So really engaging and empowering women to go out and be able to play sport. It taught me so much about the skills for sport, but also the skills for life and for leadership. So that's just some of the things that I'm involved in externally, and part of my core values and my purpose.
Thank you so much, Claire. I mean, truly humble, but also spinning multiple plates, it sounds like. I'm not quite sure how you manage all of that, but absolutely hats off to you. And it's a phrase in which you've mentioned a couple of times, actually, to Rosey and I, this people with purpose. Absolutely love that kind of banner. So we will perhaps come back to that when we talk a little bit more about culture later on throughout this session. So thank you so much, Claire.
No problem. One thing I didn't mention is I'm a shoe addict, as you can see behind me.
Lots of shoes. I'm with you on that one, and handbags. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit better now than what I was, but I love it. Christy, we'd love to bring you into this live broadcast. So thank you so much, Christy, for joining us today. Would you be so kind to do an introduction into yourself to the audience?
Sure. And thank you. Very excited about this opportunity. It really fits in with a lot of what I do outside of the day-to-day. So again, my name's Christy Mazzarisi. I am a quality professional. I've been in the pharma and biotech industry for about 17 years now. I started back in college in the laboratories, worked my way through the quality unit and various quality positions, from quality operations through quality systems, QA compliance, and so on. It kind of led me where I am today. I am the lead of QA compliance at Mersana Therapeutics. Absolutely loving what I do in my day job. Outside of the day-to-day, I'm also involved in a lot of nonprofit activities. So I have 2 boys, both of which were diagnosed at a young age with Tourette syndrome. So I am a big advocate and supporter and committee member of the Tourette Association of America. That is a big part of my passion, is trying to support patients in general, not just with my day job, but also those with neurological and motor disorders, like my kids. And I'm also part of Make-A-Wish. I'm a big advocate for them and trying to help some wishes come true. Along with being a PowerShift ambassador. For those of you who watch Shark Tank, if you know Damon John, I am one of his PowerShift ambassadors. And also a Women in Quality chair for ASQ, the American Society of Quality. That is also part of my passion, is supporting building the female leadership pipeline, supporting women who aspire to be the future leaders in the quality and life science space. So this fit right into what I'm most passionate about. So happy to be here and share what I know, my experiences, and hope that they help somebody.
Thank you, Christy. And it's all about sharing that passion. I think we all here, including the audience that's engaging with us, it's great to be building this kind of humble community where we're all kind of inspiring and learning from each other. And I think it's truly, I find, inspiring the amount of kind of causes and memberships and charities and that you both are clearly involved in and having a really active part in playing, driving forward. So thank you. Rosey, I'm seeing a lot of engagement here, which is brilliant. So we've got
It's
lots of people
great.
dialing in.
I just want to say hi to some of the audience. Please do say hi if you haven't yet. Kristen from Ohio, specializing in medical writing. Thanks for joining us. It's so nice to get such a global reach for these sorts of things. We've got a fellow from Nottingham in the UK, protein production, assay development. Hi, Natalia. We've got here Dr. Mari. Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We also have Laura, a fellow quality professional here. I think it's going to be really interesting to get more engagement. Oh, a fellow Rosey. It's hi, also Rosey from Germany. Welcome. And also an executive in career coaching for women and parent leaders. Really interesting. Be sure to connect with one another.
Yeah.
If you are happy to connect, just say hi, who you are, and happy to connect.
We'll get some questions in, Rosey. That's for later in the Q&A session. It'd be lovely to hear your thoughts and any questions you've got for Claire and Christy.
Definitely. I think Regina's just given some feedback as well towards your intros, ladies, is that, what courage, how inspiring, you're truly walking the talk and taking the action. I really like that. But I guess, Louise, should we jump into our first question and get the Q&A up and running?
100%. So first of all, Claire, I'll come to you. I think question that I think the audience would probably love to hear is why did you want to join the Lift Up community? Why was it so important for you to be a part of this Lift Up community that we're building and joining us on the broadcast today?
Well, I think so. My daughter's 6. Christy's got 2 boys, and I've got 1 little girl. Christy, I don't know how you handle 2. 1 is sometimes more than enough. It's plenty. So my daughter's 6, and I made her a promise when she was born that I would do everything within my power to ensure that she wasn't defined by her looks and she wasn't confined by her gender. It's really difficult, actually, for her not to be defined by her looks, because she's got beautiful blonde curly hair and she has a really happy thing. So when people go, oh, she's beautiful, I go, yes, but she's also very smart. I made that commitment to her, and I have to walk the talk. I have to do everything within my power to remove those barriers. And I've seen throughout my career the it's not great with my accent, the pale, stale males, the snowy white peaks that still surround us. Been in rooms where I'm the only woman. I used to be the youngest and the only woman. I'm not the youngest anymore, but sometimes I am the only woman. And for me, I'm part of a number of different women's networks. So I'm on the advisory board of a women's networking organization called Lift As You Climb. I'm chair of the International Pharmaceutical Federation's Women in Science and Education initiative. So we're looking to engage, empower, and inspire women to be the best that they can be, to remove those barriers. So any initiatives like this, where it's about inspiring and championing women and encouraging them to embrace their success, to have confidence in their competence, I'm all over. I will always be part of this. I think we all have a responsibility to, I'm a lover of acronyms, so I call it SALON, shine a light on nonsense wherever we see it, no matter how small it is. If we, hear someone talking about, we haven't got the manpower to do that. Hang on a minute. I've called people out on panels. Hang on a second. I think you mean people power or workforce. Oh
yeah, the unconscious bias, isn't it?
No, I'm not sure. I think we all know what we're doing deep down. We do. It just needs to be applied to us. So we all, I think, have a responsibility to have an impact where we can. We may think that it's small, but we've got to do the small things right to ensure that our children don't have to put up with this nonsense. Because a lot of it is still nonsense.
I mean, we've come on a significant significant way in the past, handful of decades. But I think clearly there is lots of room for growth still, and a long way to still go. And I think you're right. We've all got a role to play. And I also have 2 children, a 1 boy, 2.5, and a 6.5-year-old girl. And it's also how we can support them navigate their future careers. So, absolute advocate for that. And thank you so much, Claire. It's great to have you a part of this community. And Christy, I'll ask you a very similar question, if you don't mind. So why was Lift Up important for you? Why were you were super engaged as well about joining the live broadcast as well and sharing your experience? Why was it important for you to be a part of the community?
So for me, kind of similar to Claire, I would say, I am a chair of the Women in Quality group for the American Society of Quality, and this felt like it fit right in to what I'm trying to accomplish with the other women within my networks. I'm very big on supporting, building female leaders, just supporting each other in general across the board, building better leaders, whether it be female or not, right? We all need to just be better, whether we're male, female, or what have you. So for me, that this fit right into that purpose. And, you mentioned paving the way for our children. I believe that even though I have 2 boys, I want them to see by the example that I am setting at home, that this is how you treat people, right? Not just women, but people in general. This is the type of leader, you should aspire to be. And this is how we do things. So I'm trying to pave the way for the future because, one day I won't be here to do that. So this was a way to do that, to share and to give back. And hopefully there is some, other folks here who can pave that way for us.
Yeah.
Can I just come in and echo some of Christy's points there? Because I think, a lot of there's a lot of terminology around quality. So quality by design. I think diversity by design is just as important. Diversity and supporting people of, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different neurological makeup, different genders. It doesn't just happen by itself. So I think diversity by design is as important to organizations as quality by design. So I fully support what Christy's doing on the other side of the water.
Completely agree. And it isn't, I think, it's not just about women supporting women, it's about us all supporting each other. And I like that. I like that mindset 100%. I've got to say, and I'm sure Rosie's can see that there's so much here. Be brilliant.
So we got Vanessa here. Obviously, you're so welcome, Vanessa. Thank you for joining us. But really, as a mum of 4 daughters, it's wonderful to see female leaders being open and passionate about their lives being diverse, and it's not just about work, which is so true. I think it's a common topic that's brought up a lot. So something I'd love to kind of ask our great speakers today is, how do you balance, or I like to call it life balance, not work-life balance, because it's all to do with your whole life, and work is a very big part of it. So how do you manage life balance, and do you think that it's important to high performance?
I don't mind taking that one first, and then
so
because I have a big I'm big on the term balance when it comes to work life or life balance. So I kind of look at it a little bit more of integration, especially post the COVID environment where a lot of us are now virtual or hybrid or working a different way than we were before. So I'm actually working remote for 10 plus years now. So for me, it's not very new, but for some of those, it was new during the pandemic. But for me, it's always been work-life integration, not necessarily balance, because I work where I live and I live where I work. And my kids sometimes are running around, and it's about learning how to integrate their schedule with my schedule and how to kind of keep life going. Like you said, it's our whole life. And I take a more holistic approach to looking at a person. I don't just look at who they are at work, with my team members or my employees. I want to know, who are you at home? Who are you outside of that? Do you have things you'd like to be involved in, like nonprofits? Do you run? Do you do this? What do you do? I like to take a more holistic approach at work-life integration rather than trying to balance one, because I feel like it's very hard to actually balance.
And what advice, Christy? I think that's a really important piece. And if you can get to that point in your life where you're in that situation, then I think it's great. What kind of advice could you give to people? And how do people go and find that level of balance of integration? Is it about is it employer led, for example? Is it about finding a company that will allow you to work remotely? I know that sounds like remote working for 10 years. That's been pre-pandemic. Many businesses were forced into having to offer that remote working to employees because of the pandemic. And actually, a lot of businesses weren't open to that style prior. So if people aren't getting that level of maybe remote working or that blend that you're now getting, that you're seeing, what kind of bit of advice would you give to those people to go and get it?
So I think it's about finding, what they're passionate about, and then move towards that type of work, because then it will never seem like a balance, a fighting game of a balance to you. If you're doing what you're passionate about and you're doing something that fits within your values and your morals and whatever your passion is, it won't be that difficult to figure out. That's what I've noticed. But if you're doing something just because, oh, well, I have a degree in this, it's what I'm doing, but you don't really love it, it's always going to feel like a fighting game between your family and your work life. And really to find a company that fits within those morals and values. And that's what I do when I'm interviewing at companies. Let's say I make sure that I also am interviewing them to make sure they fit in within my morals and my passion, because if they don't, we won't jive and we won't be happy. So I would say for those looking for something like that is first figure out what you're passionate about and then chase that with the companies you're looking at, because then they'll be more flexible, more family oriented, and have that culture that really fits in with the culture you want to create.
Yeah. And we've been talking a lot about high performance actually within our organization recently, and actually kind of what does success, what does high performance, how do you achieve it? And a lot of it stems from, kind of happiness. And if you can find that balance and understand what it is that makes you happy, what you're passionate about and those values, and, that you're working within an organization that aligns to your personal values, then it will kind of all flow through. I've had somebody here, Yolanda, you may know Yolanda Frisbee. Absolutely, she said, and from experience, Christy does that well. I thought that was
Thank
really
you,
sweet.
Yolanda. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I just had to throw that one in there. And then I think Rosey loved the inclusive and innovative perspectives in paving the way for the future. My kids are listening in. I love that. It sets a great example for them.
And actually, I was going to say, Rosey had a great question that she's put in, and it's about what went well in their in your return to work scenarios after having children, and what you feel needs or needed to change. I'm going to send it your way, Claire, if you're happy to share.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd like to reflect on the last piece as well.
For sure.
I think that I've also worked from home since 2011, so that's more than 11 years now. And it does take a while to get used to. But I think that one of the positive things from the pandemic is that people were allowed to work from home and were trusted to do so. And a lot of companies were forced to trust their employees and treat them as adults. And, there's some tendency before then, and I'm not going to name specific companies, but there were behaviors there where people thought you mustn't be working effectively unless you're working in the office and you are seen to do things. And that's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. So people were trusted to work from home, and they bloody well did their jobs, and they did their jobs well, even though we were all heading up that stress curve fairly, fairly regularly. And I think that it was lovely to have the kids in the background and the cats on the keyboards, because we got to see people as people and not just professionals. We took off the suits, we took off the dresses, we were there in our work joggers, work leisure wear. They became my work jogging bottoms. And we saw each other as real people, and I think we were able to take off the masks and be more authentic with people, and authenticity is so key. People work with people. This isn't a pharmaceutical industry. It's not a life science industry. This is a people industry. People work with people. And Louise and Rosey, you must see this all the time from a, staffing and recruitment perspective. The most important thing is the relationship that you have with people. And yes, we were remote and we were talking to each other over video, etc. But we invited people into our homes. We introduced them to our partners and families and our children. My dogs would snore on every call. People would think, is that you making that noise? No, it's my 8-year-old Labrador. So this is something that I really hope that companies will continue with remote working, because it has been shown to be beneficial to people's well-being. And well-being over workload is one of our core values, and one that we really fully implemented during the pandemic and have done since then, because schools were closed, people had caring responsibilities, we had caring responsibilities, and you have to look after yourself and you have to look after your family first. We'll all muck in and get the work done. The work will be done. But if we don't look after our people, we have nothing. And it's it's what Christy was saying about what are the values of an organization? Will they support you if you want to work from home? And if they don't, then there isn't that level of trust there. Do you share the values? Do you share the aspirations? And fully support the fact that when you are interviewing for a role, you interview that company as well, because you've got to align. You were giving them a lot of your time, a lot of your life. So I think it's wonderful that the kids are listening. And hi, everyone.
I know, I love that. And well-being, you're 100% clear. Understanding a well-being model, or what's part of the employee handbook in an organization, however that may be, is a really key piece. And I think that actually, demonstration statistics show at the moment globally stress levels, from a workplace perspective, is so significantly high, and so many people are operating above that 100% consistently, that actually is just creating people to burn out, when actually in a long-term perspective is counterintuitive or counterproductive, even from an organization business point of view. So talking about that, and whilst we're still talking about performance and culture, Christy, importance of culture, what does that mean to you? We've talked quite a bit about culture before, haven't we?
Yes, we have. And I recently, through the women's leadership group that I chair, we did some workshops around what a culture is and what that means and what it looks like from a quality perspective. But it really dived more into a lot of the things that I'm passionate about and what it means to me as well. So I really am big on practicing what I preach as best as I can. So for me, it's really about employee empowerment. That's the biggest piece for me around culture. Culture is empowering your employees, trusting them to do the job you hired them to do, and allowing them the space to do it and the space to fail. Because that's also a key piece of culture is, is there psychological safety for them should they fail? Will you be there to help them fix it? How will you develop a relationship within your organizations where, will you have a mentor or a leader? For me, culture's also really big on the type of structure that's there. If there's a mentorship program and something like that, because I feel like no matter how high we get, or, on the ladder, the professional ladder, or what we are doing, or how many years we've been in industry, we all could use a mentor. So a big part of culture for me too is creating my circle, or I call it my circle. But, having a sponsor, someone who talks about me, who says, oh, you want that done? Christy's your person, right? Who vouches for you. Having a mentor, somebody to help me reach my aspirations. Having a coach, someone who kind of talks at me, tells me what I need to do and how to do it to reach those goals. And then having a trusted friend in my circle, somebody to sanity check me, because I know I need it from time to time. Is this a crazy idea or not? Or do you think the way I handled this was appropriate? And a friend will be honest. So having a trusted friend in your circle is also really important. And that will help you to build a culture of excellence, and one that really focuses on people rather than results. Because if you focus on people, and I think Claire kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but if you focus on your people, your results will show, that what you're doing is driving results. So, you focus on the people, the results will come.
I love that. I love
I
that.
can't nod enough. I'm nodding along.
Is there anything to add to that, Claire?
So Christy calls them her circle. I call them my tribe. So the tribe of people in my team, but also outside as well. Those honest friends and mentors who you go to them and they will tell you the truth. So when I was opening my formulation development facility, before I did that, I went to a small group of trusted friends and went, this is what I would like to do. and I want you to be honest with me. I want you to tell me what are the things that I haven't thought about, and why shouldn't I do this? And they were absolutely brilliant. But culture, to me, it's absolutely critical to a company to do that. Recently, we've been through the process of, I came up with our values and our behaviors. So give people an environment in which they can succeed, one of our values. Yes. People and purpose over products and profits. Well-being over workload. We've got 5 of those, and then we've got 8 behaviors. But the things like be authentic, be brave, be creative, be a captain, be kind, be engaging, be inspiring. So all of really people-focused, emotive things. Yes. I ran those past my management team. They're all like, yeah, you're a good wordsmith. They seem really like lovely things. But that's not enough, because culture shouldn't come from the top of an organization. So what I did was, we've got three main reporting lines within the company. I asked for volunteers from each of those reporting lines, and we've generated Culture Club, so that people of a certain age will get that. There was a band in the 80s called Culture Club.
Yeah, I'm aware.
So we have Culture Club who have converted those values and those behaviors into what does this mean for us internally? So how are we going to treat each other within the tribe? How are we going to work with our clients, and what are our expectations of them? Because it's not a one-way street. And also, everybody gets 10% of their working time as purposeful time. So they'll either be studying for a part-time degree, or volunteering for a charity, or working for some outside. So what does that mean for the purposeful time as well? So, and also the behaviors. What do our behaviors mean? And Culture Club is our internal barometer of when things are going really well and things aren't going really well. Where are we on that well-being piece? Should we be celebrating more, or are there things that are going slightly awry and we need to figure out? And actually, just today, I've been talking with my management team about the possibility of us going to a 4-day week. And
it's a hot topic right now.
We think that's a good idea. We'll need to do some work on that, but I've asked Culture Club to look at it, because maybe some people don't want to do it. Or, do we shut on a Friday? And is that the agility shut on a Friday? Well, maybe that doesn't work for everybody. So how do we want to operate? What does that mean for people, so that everybody has a voice and everybody's voice is heard at the same level? I want to hear what everybody thinks, because it's got to be operational for everybody.
Yeah,
and
I think
also,
it's really
what is it that what can we learn from outside? We can't be insular and just go 4-day week, great, let's go for it. Oh, hang on a minute.
It's not going to work.
They learned that over there, and we should have listened to it. It's I think it's a wonderful resource, and I'm hoping, and we'll look at this going forward. I'm hoping that Culture Club as an entity, they feel valued, and they've already demonstrated that when there's 1 or 2 things that haven't gone well, and they've come straight to me and gone, okay, I've seen this, I think we should deal with it. Boom, done.
Yeah.
And
I think
trust is
100% trust in your employees, but it's importantly giving the people the platform to have a voice. And I think that having that ability, I love that people purpose time, I think it is you called it, but it's reflection. It's reflection time, and it's the ability for your people to reflect, but also these values that are so kind of put together from businesses, rather than just being a list of words or names on a company website. It's important that people are embracing it, and that every month it's that kind of recognition or remembrance as to what they are and how they're living and breathing them, and how they're aligned. But no, I love that, Claire. I think clearly you're demonstrating brilliant things within ability, and I think that even some advice that you're sharing here, if other people take some of this advice and could replicate it, that could be hugely beneficial. So thank you very much for sharing.
It's interesting actually, because Dr. Mari here, she's mentioned here, amazing advice and why us women are incredible at any job. And it kind of makes me think about the topic of the different traits you get within leadership, and how diversity in leadership is so important. As leaders in organizations, what would you say is one piece of advice you would give someone who's looking to become a leader?
So I know one that I would give because I was recently asked something similar. So, so this isn't hard to think about. But one of the things somebody was like, well, okay, how do you ask for that promotion or ask to become that new leader in an organization? And what do I need to do that? So I kind of gave them the advice, what's been stopping you? Why haven't you asked? Well, I'm nervous. I'm afraid. I'm scared. Okay, well, you know what? Do it anyway. So even if you're afraid to do something, but you've been asking yourself in your head, okay, I want this. I've been wanting to do this, but I'm too afraid. Do it anyway. Do it afraid, right? And the most that'll happen is you'll be told no, but ask. If you don't ask, you'll never know and you won't get it, right? And if they say no, that's okay. And you just got to think through how to find what you want again, maybe elsewhere, or maybe, okay, well, what do I need to do to get there? Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about asking.
Breaking down and being
Totally.
uncomfortable.
Totally.
Being uncomfortable. It's a big phrase that Rosey and I and Fraser Dove use. It's so critical to growth. We talk about discomfort equaling growth, because sometimes if you're constantly within your comfort zone, then you're never exploring the possibilities of the what if. And I think that 100%, Christy, it's kind of just ask that question. What's the worst that can happen? So I love
Completely
that,
agree.
Claire.
Completely agree. I mean, I try to use the 5-year forward analogy. If you're at a crossroads, or you're wanting to do something, you think, oh, I'm not sure I'm qualified for this. I'm not sure that I can do it. You've got that self-doubt. Try and propel yourself forward 5 years. And if you think, if I don't go for this right now, I'm going to regret it. If I don't do this, whether it's something personal, something professional, you've just got to take a deep breath and leap at it and make it happen. Just bloody well go for it. But I'm going to cheat a bit, so that, because I've just echoed what Christy said, my other piece of advice is, if you want a hamster, ask for a horse. So if you want a pay rise of 5%, go in and ask for 15. If you get 15, wonderful. If you get 10, even better. So you might end up with the horse, you might end up with a Great Dane, or you might end up with the hamster. Or you might get
that.
Exactly.
I love that.
Don't ask for it, never get it. Bloody well go for it. And if you want a hamster, ask for a horse.
I love that.
That's brilliant.
I have said this multiple times to my team, and then the pay rises they ask me for, I'm like, oh, bloody hell, I've created this, haven't I? Yeah, so I think we should have a 20% pay rise. Balls.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Animal
Rosie from
analogy.
the audience. Yeah, Rosie from the audience has actually shared, and also, please, anyone in the audience, if you have any piece of advice that you'd like to share as well, please let me know. But you can see here, Rosie has actually said, consulting your future wiser self on key decisions is an important piece.
I've never seen it as that, but actually it is. You're coming out of your own body and you're asking yourself in the future. So, your 5-year, what is it that you're going to do to make things better for yourself that's 5 years older and hopefully 5 years wiser?
Yes, you'd hope so. Interesting piece. I think it's always, we have these conversations time and time again, and I am conscious of the time, so I'm going to throw a few other questions out there. And if there's any in the audience, please ask away. We've still got time for a few more questions. Just remember to put a Q at the beginning. But one that's also, I find, helps really explore your experience, and it kind of always leads into a much deeper conversation, is asking what is the one pivotal moment in your career to date. What was that moment that was just where it changed everything, and suddenly maybe you saw the light, or you decided a path. I'll go to Claire first this time.
Yeah, I think, but just before I started the company, and what was the catalyst for doing so, I was working with a not-for-profit, and there was the opportunity to do a piece of strategic work there. There's a good friend of mine who is part of my tribe, and one of those wonderful people. She's a hero, a shero of mine that I go to anytime I've got a critical decision to make. And I went to her and I said, I think you'd be wonderful at this. I think you should do this piece of work and you should take on this role. And her retort was, okay, I will do it if you do it with me.
Love Love that.
Oh, and just that response from her in the fact. So I held her and still do hold her in very high regard. The fact that she mirrored that back at me was, it took my ankles out from underneath me, and it made me think, well, why not? Why not do this? And to do that piece of work, I had to set up my own company, and then I thought, maybe I have some skills and some knowledge that I could help other companies, and it just went from there. Yeah, so I think that was the critical turning point in my
Love
career.
that. Yeah.
And she's
Amazing.
wonderful. Her name's Helen Barker, and she's absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Great. And Christy, same question to you then. What was that kind of pivotal moment for you, do you think?
So my pivotal moment was in my younger days, a little earlier in my career when I was just starting to get into the more supervisory type positions. It was early on, but there was a moment when I had some interactions with, more, I would say, senior members, and the interactions didn't go as planned. And I had a moment where I wasn't being treated fairly. And it was actually not quite the best moment in my career at all, but it was the most pivotal, because everything that happened to me during that situation, being the only woman in the room, young woman in the room, who had to say what was right versus, maybe what was best for the business, but versus what was best for others. Having that moment really set the stage for me changing how I was after that. So after that is when I started really a lot of the women's groups. I started going to them rather than leading them. And I started learning, how can I be a better leader? How can I speak the language of the executives? How can I do all of these things? Because I will never let that happen to me again. And that was a pivotal moment for me in changing up my style and really being who I am today, because I would never want that to happen to anybody else. As a young woman in industry, in any industry, to have to face some of the challenges that I faced early in my career. So for me, that one specific situation really changed everything. And it made me use the voice that I already have and use it well. And, that for me was it.
Well done, you. That's incredible.
Yeah, no, well done, Christy, and thank you so much for sharing that. It's really inspiring. I think that you've just got to voice up and take that step and believe. It's belief, isn't it? And stand up for what you believe in. Just coming through to parenthood, because we've only got a couple of minutes actually left. For those people or members of the audience or somebody that's navigating parenthood or is about to potentially go off on maternity leave and maybe then come back after maternity leave, if we can get in a sort of very short synopsis as to maybe your experiences, how you've navigated your career coming back in to a workplace post maternity. Did you come back in at the same level? Did you take a step back? Were you told to take a step back, or did you actually keep progressing? What did that look like for you, Claire?
Oh, well, I've got a horror story from this perspective. So my wife had our daughter, and when she went off, just before she went off on maternity leave, she'd spoken with her line management about going back part-time and maybe working some time from home. So the workplace was about maybe an hour and 15 minutes away from home. And they'd agreed that she could come back part-time. And through the maternity leave, that line management changed, and they said, no, you come back into the office full-time or nothing. And that was only 6 years ago. And that is utterly abhorrent. And it was an incredibly stressful time,
of course.
Baby on the way, what do you do? No role to go back to if you don't want to go back full-time. Fortunately, I run the business. My wife's 50% owner of the business. I said, well, you're a wonderful project manager, come into the business, work part-time within the business, and that means that you're flexible in when you work. We don't have to really worry that much about childcare. We can balance these things out. And You talked about work-life balance earlier. I'm terrible at work-life balance because my life is and my work is integrated. I like that
it's all
bleeds into it so much. But I run the company. I'm worried about everybody.
So that's nice. You've got
conscious
that,
of everybody and everything. So from my life is and my life and my work are very much integrated, and it is something that I'm mindful of when I spend time on things, to be focused on that and not on other things. But I'm sure
Claire.
those horror stories happen.
Yeah, apologies,
all the
Claire.
time.
We've only got about 30 seconds.
Go.
But do you know what, Claire, Christy, such phenomenal stories, both from a parenthood perspective. I think there is so much we can delve in on. And actually, it might even be worth you getting involved in a podcast. I think that your stories are phenomenal. And there's so much more here that you could give. So I've got to first of all say thank you so much to all the audience. Any questions we haven't had the chance to answer, we 100% will. We'll be going back live again in February. I've got to thank the key speakers so much, and my co-host Rosey, for joining us today. Truly inspiring. This recording will go out on LinkedIn, socials for you to rewatch. And, I think that's pretty much everything there, isn't it, Rosey? But apologies
I think
I just
follow
gone
the
so
page.
fast, isn't it?
That's what it always does.
It
Follow our
flies.
page. The link is up. We'll also put it in the comments. Please spread the word. We want this community to be growing. Invite your colleagues, invite your friends, peers, even your boss. See what happens. But thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. Thanks again, Claire, Christy. Take care. Bye-bye.